Hey everybody, if you're just tuning in and you are unfamiliar with myself and my situation, my name is Jen Rivas. I'm a health coach and a holistic nutritionist, and I am pretty passionate about a plant-based lifestyle as well as living gluten-free. I've shared my story before. If you haven't seen it already, I can link a few in the description, but I want to kind of really focus this video on questions that I get asked all the time, which is why plant-based, right? Because you don't just wake up one day and then decide you're going plant-based. So I guess maybe some of you could, but that wasn't my journey. It really was it was a journey. It was just that. It wasn't a sprint. It was a total marathon, and it started with my daughter's diagnosis and has led me to where I am today, to a point where I am so passionate about it that I have chosen that as a career to not just in transitioning people to plant-based. That's not my ultimate goal. My ultimate goal is to really help people find their true health, and that is through a healthy diet, through eating foods that nourish and heal your body. So with that aside, where did this all start for me? So probably started with my whole idea of the conspiracy theory around organic foods. I grew up very frugal. My mom and dad had 5 kids. My mom stayed home with us. So, there were many years where the budget was very tight. And so I learned how to stretch a dollar from a very young age. And I'm proud of that. I think that's a great asset to have. But growing up and not knowing anything about nutrition, I was always looking for the cheapest things. I never saw food as an investment. I saw it as an expense, right? Which is a complete 180 on how I view food now. So when people started raving about this whole organic thing, I looked at the prices and was like, yeah, you can keep your, organic apples and your organic eggs, and I'm just gonna buy my cheap stuff because I don't even think this is a thing. It's another way for, our government to make money. So like I do, sometimes I really started to dig in and do the research for myself because I wanted to see what it was all about. And come to find out, there's very good reasons for eating and buying organic. From there, I kept digging, and that sort of opened Pandora's box to our whole agricultural industry and just how our meat and our dairy and our animal byproducts, how that's all literally going from farm to farm, if you want to call it that, to our grocery stores and then to our table. And I'm not going to get on a vegan soapbox here. I'm going to tell you that my reasons for going plant-based were 100% solely health reasons. I feel like the whole animal cruelty and my carbon footprint, byproducts of switching to that are all noble and all excellent. But again, I want to make sure that I am letting you know that going plant-based for me was 100% health related. So, but when I found out these things about how our these factory farms are raising, these animals, and how this is again getting from those factories to our supermarkets, it shocked me. I don't know a better word. I was taken aback. I was appalled. I was in tears. I never understood, and there's good reason why we don't see these factory farms, because nobody wants you to know. And all of that aside, the reason that I think it shocked me was knowing what these animals were ingesting, knowing what these animals were being pumped with. When I say that, I mean antibiotics, other drugs to because of their harsh environment, they need to keep the animals well. And so I was learning so much, and it just made me realize, when people say you want to get grass-fed, you want to get organic, you want to get free range, there is very good reason for that. And unfortunately, in our corrupt system, sometimes, even when you have things that are labeled that way, I found out that there's many loopholes. So for me, it just kind of it boiled down to what is healthiest for me, what is healthiest for my family. Myself with a very strong gluten sensitivity, my daughter with diabetes and celiac, I am forever trying to find the healthiest way for us to live, because I want her and the rest of my children and my husband and myself to live long, healthy lives. I want the highest quality of life we can have, and I want that for all of you. I hope you want that for yourself. Like, I don't want you to be complacent with low energy, with not being able to, run around and play with your children, with not being able to walk up the stairs and be winded. I don't want that for you. I want you to have higher goals for yourself. I want you to know and believe that food heals, and this is a way that that you can naturally, without drugs, without prescriptions, see tremendous results. And again, I'm not a doctor, and by no means am I telling you that you don't need medication in your life. I don't know your circumstances. I don't know, what diseases or diagnosis that you're dealing with. But I believe that eating this way can alleviate a lot of that. I truly do. Because let's talk about like the top 3 killers for, Americans, and gosh, it's getting close to being worldwide, and that's heart disease. That's type 2 diabetes, that's cancer, and like, I'm not even speaking about the epidemic that we have on our hands with obesity, and all of this stems from our diet. All of these things are directly related to what we are putting in our mouths every single day. So it just became that for me. It was that aha moment. And so when I, again, it's like peeling back the onion, literally and figuratively. The more I learned, the more I needed to know more. And it just boiled down to eating a diet that is extremely high in plant-based foods is going to get you the fiber that you need, the vitamins and minerals that you need on the daily, and it is going to rid you of these processed foods, of these high-fat foods, of these foods that are affecting your gut health, your microbiome. That's like, maybe you've heard that word going around, but that's a fancy word for just the health of your gut, which, believe it or not, again, as I learn more, it fascinates me, but your gut makes up 70 to 80% of your immune system. And so we are like rampant with this inflammation all over the globe, and that all starts with our gut. So if we're not nourishing our gut, if we're not feeding it the stuff that it needs, it is wreaking havoc on the rest of our system. So that's kind of where it started from, and I'll tell you, I was not like a cold turkey. I think that is unrealistic for a lot of people, and God bless you if you can do it, and you're fantastic. I'm amazed and inspired. But I think for most people, and I think the most realistic and most approachable way to go about it is to do it in steps. Like, don't be so hard on yourself. Understand that it's going to be a process. You cannot just flip the coin in one day. And the other side of that, a lot of times, you're kind of equating it to those fad diets and those crash diets that I did for over 15 years of my life, and why they will always fail. And that is because you are feeling deprived. Anytime you deprive yourself, you want that even more. You may not know that, but I'm telling you, like, subconsciously, when you tell yourself you can't have something, you want it that much more. So it's not about deprivation. It's not about saying I can't have these. The focus is on what can I eat, and believe it or not, it's substantial. But again, it has to be done in like baby steps, because otherwise it becomes too overwhelming. It becomes too much of this like hill that you have to tackle that, that's more like a mountain. But trust me when I say, to sit here talking to you today about this, like, I have this like shit-eating grin on my face, because I would have never, ever in a million years thought that this is where I'd be in my life right now. I was that person that would laugh when I heard the term vegan being thrown around, and these people don't eat meat, they don't eat eggs. Like, what the heck do they eat? Like, this is not even possible, let alone sustainable for any amount of time. But hopefully I'm giving you a little hope in knowing that not only can you eat delicious food, you can eat food that tastes amazing, but let me tell you the best part, you will live a life that you have never lived before. I have more energy and more endurance and more just zest for life in my 40s than I ever had in my 20s and 30s, ever. It's like I feel like life has just started for me, and that makes me a little sad to feel like I missed out a lot of that in my 20s and 30s, but I believe in the plan, in God's plan, and that this was the journey I was supposed to take, and that I'm sitting here sharing this with you today for a reason. So hopefully that gives you some insight on my reasoning for deciding to go predominantly plant-based, and I'm not sure if I covered everything, but if you have questions, reach out to me. I'm always more than happy to share. I do want to make sure that I touch on that I don't believe that there is one cookie cutter diet for everyone. I understand, even more so now working with clients that have very strict dietary needs, and they're dealing with certain illnesses or diseases or whatever it is. Like, I believe firmly that this is the best place to start, but I also know that it is not cookie cutter, and I would just urge you this: if you are still eating meat and you are still eating dairy and animal byproducts, take organic seriously. Look at where it's coming from. Try to get the grass-fed, try to get the organic, try to get the free range. No hormones, no antibiotics. Like, look for this stuff because it's important. And if you can't afford organic, like, I'm totally one of those people that never shuns people for not buying organic fruits and vegetables. Listen to me and hear me, because I know it's not affordable for everyone, and I hate the fact that our system has it set up that we have to pay freaking $7 for a salad and $1 for a gigantic French fry, from McDonald's. Like, it pisses me off to no end. I know our system's not set up for us to be successful in this area, so by no means do I ever look down on people that say they can't afford that. So in that regard, buy your regular fruits and vegetables, whatever you can afford, and just wash them. Just make sure you're washing them, because the chances of those being sprayed with pesticides are very high. But there is studies out there that are very hopeful that say 70 to 80%, maybe even more, of those pesticides can be washed off with just running it under some cold water. Give it a really good rub down. You don't need all the fancy washes. Just wash it under cold water, and you will rid it of most of the pesticides on there, which have been proven, to cause some pretty detrimental things, especially later on in life. So hope this was a little helpful. I hope it was at least gives you a closer inside look on why I make the decisions I make, why I share the recipes I share. And if you have any questions, like I said, put them in the comments below. I will also link to my website and also my Facebook groups if you are not part of them. Thanks so much. Have a wonderful week.